Welcome back to AM Sports Cover 4. Jay, I wanted you and I to get together and talk about an article that was sent to me by you. I think it was from the Tampa Bay Times, correct?
Yeah.
And it's talking about the lawsuit, ACC versus FSU. So, of course, I'm a Florida State Seminole, and I have a vested interest in all things that are FSU, specifically as it relates to the lawsuit against the ACC. Now, we know that there have been lawsuits filed in both North Carolina and Florida, with the ACC trying to get an advantage on FSU by filing first in North Carolina, following a board, or actually prior to a board of trustees meeting with FSU. And they both had the opportunity to respond to each case. Both have filed motions to either dismiss or stay in both courts. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of everything, but personally, I feel that Florida State's case is a lot stronger than what I had initially anticipated it would be. Now, let me say this. Neither one of us are lawyers, and we are not about to give you any legalese in regards to this. But I do want to focus on one aspect of this recent article from the Tampa Bay Times, where it states that in a particular section in the response of the ACC, they mentioned that Florida State has an option to buy back their rights, and it's more of a commercial consideration and not a penalty. From what it sounds like to me, and this is just based off what I heard from an individual called, well, he's from Rohan Law. I can't remember his first name, but Rohan Law in Atlanta, Georgia. He talked about this specifically, and it sounds like it would or could be a violation of Florida law in terms of anti-competition. It's interesting because, and we all know that Florida State had the option to buy back their rights. I mean, that's nothing new. Everybody knew that. The issue was the price, right? Many felt that it was going to be, or at least the number that I heard was around 500 million, 450 million, something like that, for the rights, or for the opportunity to buy their rights back, which Florida State is not going to pay that, right? I mean, they're not. But the fact that the ACC specifically stated this within this particular filing may suggest that the ACC is trying to extend an olive branch to some extent to get Florida State to the table to negotiate. Now, Florida State has already dug into its coffers and pulled out some shots at the ACC in regards to some of the dealings with Raycom and Swarford, who used to actually run the ACC. So I think that Florida State definitely has some more artillery that they can actually use against the ACC. I don't know if Florida State can actually prove any of this stuff, but certainly they're already mentioning these things. And it's clear to me that the ACC, they don't want to get to a point where they have to, have discovery, because other things are going to come out as a part of discovery. So it seems to me like they may already be trying to extend an olive branch to Florida State to at least bring them to the negotiation table to start negotiating if they haven't already started negotiating. That's how I'm interpreting that comment within their filing, just saying, hey, they have an option. They could come to the table and try to, purchase the rights back. And I think Florida State would be willing to purchase the rights back. I don't think anybody wants this to go to court. I think Florida State is of the mindset that this won't be a situation where they get out scot-free. However, $500 million is not going to happen. So, Jay, what's your thoughts on that? I personally feel that Florida State in this lawsuit is the final domino that needs to fall in terms of college football realignment, because if Florida State ends up getting out of the ACC, I think it's going to have a domino effect. Subsequent to that, I believe you're going to see North Carolina. You're probably going to see Virginia follow suit. Miami will also follow suit. Clemson will follow suit. I don't know if all of those teams have homes. From what I've heard, North Carolina definitely has a home. I'm hearing it's actually going to be the SEC for North Carolina. Florida State definitely has a home. I'm hearing it's going to be the Big Ten. I don't know about the other schools yet, but I would imagine schools like Virginia, Miami would also be attractive to both the SEC and the Big Ten. So, Jay, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was looking at the article as well. I saw this article before I sent it. I saw another article also that was talking about this whole thing here. And it's the thing, strength in numbers. I read that Miami, Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, either Virginia or Virginia Tech had met and have been in discussions since like 2022 about this situation with the ACC. Because this deal goes to 2036, and it's a major buyout for all the teams, and it's like from this article saying it's like 429 million for FSU to buy out. No school is going to want to do that. Especially they feel like they've been wrong, and they see the way all the other conferences are moving, specifically the SEC. These teams want to get out; they want to have their fair shake and get and be able to have their rights. And it's like I was reading more into it. It's like the fact that they kind of took the rights of FSU back in 2016, and then they pretty much sold it out to ESPN to do how they want. So it's like it screwed FSU, and it screwed all the other teams in the ACC. So I think for this really to get moving even more, the other schools have to come to play. FSU, Clemson, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia, the top schools in the ACC, they come together. They can make this thing really happen and pop. And I know me and you clown about who's going to do it. I don't care who does it. We've also always had our issues with the AC, the way they moved, and they were weak the way they were doing stuff. We saw other conferences, mainly the SEC, even the Big Ten, making moves and stuff like that. And the ACC was just sitting back, just twiddling their thumbs a little bit.
Let me add something. So I hear what you're saying. The problem with that notion, though, is that they needed a majority vote in order to dissolve the ACC. And with the ACC bringing in Cal, SMU, Stanford, they're not going to have that majority vote anymore. And I think even at the time, North Carolina, they went back on that pact that you're talking about. So I don't think that that's going to happen anymore. It won't naturally dissolve on its own. I think Florida State is going to have to try to break it in order to give a path for other schools to get out. That's my thoughts on that.
But also, like with the schools, I figured why they added those other schools to try to skew the numbers. Like to your point, at the schools that they screw SMU because SMU still can't go to play for a bowl game, anything like that. They're not the bowl game or ACC championship for like 3 years or something like that. So I don't know why SMU took that deal for whatever reason, but they did it anyway, which I don't think was the best deal for them. But to your point, yeah, it's all about politics. So that's why the ACC took those teams, because everyone's wondering, like, you're going all the way to the West Coast, for Cal and things of that nature there. SMU, yeah, that's Texas, not too far away. But to go all the way to Cal and have to go through these 3 time zones back and forth, all the travel and everything, especially for multiple schools doing that, it's going to be interesting on that aspect there. But I really think that it's strength in numbers. I still stand by that. I still think those schools have to come with FSU to give FSU, make FSU's move a lot stronger. Because in the end, if it can be done at FSU, it can be done to anyone else, any other school. So you got to look at it from that standpoint there. So they have to come together to help FSU out on this, because helping FSU is not just saying, oh, we're pro FSU. No, it's trying to do what's right for everyone. You know what I'm saying? You need someone to bust the seal, and if FSU is the first one or the second one or whatever, the other teams come together, they can definitely make it happen.
Well, absolutely. I'm pro FSU, as you can see with the shirt on, alumni. So I'm biased in this. I totally admit. I think Florida State has an extremely strong case against the ACC. I'm curious to see what ends up happening and what's the next kind of step in this whole overall process. I think they're going to end up coming to the table sooner rather than later. Now, I know there's a lot of people that, they reference the Maryland situation with the ACC and the time span in which it took for Maryland to get out of the ACC. And I think that was a couple of years. Maryland ended up paying about $50 million. For some reason, I feel like this is going to actually be expedited, because I think Florida State has the gloves off. They're willing, able, and ready to get into the mud if required in order to get out of the ACC. And I think Florida State is going to make it happen, and I think that's going to open the floodgates for other ACC teams. You guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to, has the ACC shown their hand yet? I don't think they're in a strong position, Jay. If you look at their subsequent filing in Leon County, most of what they were actually arguing was venue. So really, they want to get it in North Carolina because they think they're going to be stronger positioned, or they're going to have a stronger position there. I totally agree with them. I don't believe Florida is going to dismiss this case whatsoever. I think it's a higher probability that North Carolina would. Again, I'm not a lawyer. It's just based off what I'm reading. So you guys tell us what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is AM Sports Cover 4, and we are